Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. It is that magical time of year, the day of Halloween. So this video is either a bit early or a bit late for a few people. I apologize for that. I'm a little bit late with getting to the Halloween spirit, but we will be working without further ado on that project right now on Double Bits Workshop. So today I'm going to be making a gravestone for this video. I have a few other projects in mind, and I've kind of glanced at a few different things that are in the market. Not a huge fan of them. A lot of them are all foam, so that way they're easy to move, but the downfall of foam is that it blows around like crazy. So I've been researching and seeing how a lot of different people kind of work forward with a method to make a bit more of a long-standing, long-lasting tombstone for a front yard decor. And one of the best methods I've looked at is a mixture of either styrofoam, some kind of foam of that kind, and plywood, or you can actually optimize and use cardboard. Now, I just went off by saying I didn't like the styrofoam aspect, but one way to kind of weight them down that we'll be utilizing is concrete powder. So that's more to dress up the outside of it and add a little bit of extra weight, but we're still going to need to stake these down and keep them in one spot. So I'm going to be making a couple of different variations of tombstones along the way. We're going to try to get through at least one, see how it feels, and have something kind of fun or funny to put on it. So let's get to that project. I was, in the last video, able to get various styrofoam from my forge, as well as, where did I put you little bugger? Just had it. Cardboard as well. It's a tiny shop. You don't have much room to lose things. Well, we'll be utilizing this box as well. So it'll be a mixture of cardboard that I'm going to cut and reshape into what I need it to be, and styrofoam as well. The reason for the two substances is to get the large enough mass to look like an actual tombstone. This is pretty much as thick as I want to make it, but I can get only about one out of this, or I can end up actually using the cardboard for the bottom half of it and then have this for the curve of the top of it. So that way I can get the most bang for my buck and then just get to the painting of concrete once I have something set or situated and suited to actually be a tombstone. So let's get to a time lapse of that. I'll kind of just cut through the cardboard, get everything to a rough shape the way that I want it, get everything glued up and mounted to a solid object that I can then use as a form to just cover with concrete. Pretty simple and straightforward. I will also be screwing in and mounting some eyelets on the back of it, so that way I can slide it over the stakes that I put into the ground to keep them nice and secure where they need to be, their final resting place, if you will. So we will cut to that now. so I let this sit overnight, and this is the face of it. It's turned out actually rather good. There are a few spots that are a little bit light as far as the actual grout kind of sticking and adhering to the foam, but no worry on that part. As long as it's solidified, filled in the letters as well as the numbers, that was the main concern that I had. There was a little bit of a divot in the product due to the weight of the actual grouting, which is just fine. I'm going to be going over this with some probably like way watered down black paint and then sealing it as well, so that way I can kind of make it look a little less kind of white hazy and more actually kind of dark texture, so it'll pull these cracks out a little bit more for the top part here, and that'll be good on that end. I'm thinking originally I was going to be mounting a piece of plywood to the back of this, but I think for aesthetics and looks, what I'm actually going to do is just cut open this bottom piece of the actual box, and then that way this, when it's fully done and I cut that, I can just slide the whole thing over a sheet of plywood that can remain on the inside of it. So that'll help with the wind deterrent and it'll help keep it upright, which is nice. But as far as upright is concerned, it can stand, but because of all this weight in the front, it wants to fall forward. So we're going to flip it over, do the back side, and hopefully be able to actually do the sides as well. We'll see if the grouting can kind of allow itself to be at an angle like that. So I'm going to gently set this down, and you can see the construction, heavy hot glue, which is fine. But I'm going to do the entire backside as well, so that way it looks like a proper gravestone all around, which is going to be super awesome. This is going to be the main one that I produce, otherwise I have enough foam and cardboard to do a second in this orientation, and I have also purchased some basic Dollar Tree larger $5 $5 tombstones that I can then just grout, and those ones I will have to secure since they're going to be thinner with a sheet of plywood on the back of them, which is just fine. So those will go in there. This guy, I'll make another one of him, and that'll be at least 4. I'm hoping to get at least 2 more that I might be able to produce with some different foam, and I'll keep going from there. I think this is looking great, and there'll be some deviation while still looking like actual proper tombstones, which I'm super excited about. So without further ado, we're gonna go through and grout this one up, and I think this video will be just for this little guy right here, and I'll kind of just make a few other ones as well. So this is the basic principle. Just kind of recap on it, is just the foam cut out to look like an actual tombstone, which has worked out great. I just took the cut off pieces and put them on the bottom, and it is looking rockin'. So let's get another time lapse going. Alright, so up to this point I have grouted the face and the 3 pieces of foam that I have engraved the ashy slashy into, as well as I have grouted the back of the tombstone. There is a meetup point, the bottom of course, and this side and top that I have not done. Main reason being was it was kind of hard with everything kind of setting in the way that grout works, which granted, if you do this project, use instant concrete and make sure to get like fine just powder concrete mix that doesn't have gravel in it. And if you have that just normal concrete powder, which is usually around anywhere from $6 up to $10, nothing super expensive, which is super nice for a 50-pound bag. Definitely not going to need 50 pounds for this project. You can do multiple tombstones doing it this method, so it's going to, all in all, a very cheap project. I just had the grout and figured I'd try it out, so this is, for me, kind of a costless project. The one exception to that being I purchased some fake moss from the Spirit Halloween store. That ran me about $12, so just heads up on that one. That's the only actual expenditure that I have, but I'll kind of give a running tally at the end of what this would cost you if you didn't have the supplies for it, or at least just to know what supplies you need. Anyway, so the bottom here is not grouted. I did that kind of on purpose, so that way I didn't have it flecking off. Grouting, when kind of in this unsealed nature, is a little bit more flaky. I'm wanting the aesthetic of it, not the like structure of it. I'm not going to be standing on this gravestone or anything. All right, so what we are doing now is I'm going to be cutting this board. I just went and sourced some wood just out of the wood pile. These actually ended up being enough of a length. So my cardboard box that is hollow on the inside goes up to here, gives me a little bit of breathing room. What I'm going to do is cut open the bottom here. That's another reason I didn't grout it. So that way I can make a little structure that this will slide over top of, and it's going to mount to a board. So the board's going to mount to these are going to mount to that board, and then this is going to be able to slide into and recept into the actual cardboard box itself. I need to cut it open and kind of make sure my dimensions are right. Make a cut, put 4 screws into this part, kind of make an A-frame. This will slide over top of that. That was one of my main ideas for having be a cardboard box. Not only did it take up a lot of space that I could then just cover without much worry and concern with what materials I had, but that was kind of my idea and method behind that. So we'll do a quick time lapse of me cutting that open, get this all mounted up, slap it in there. I'm going to use Titebond 3 exterior waterproof glue to help hold this down, a little bit of hot glue to kind of keep it in place so that way it doesn't move at all. The hot glue being outside isn't going to really last, so that's just a temporary hold until this fully firms up, but I'm kind of tight on time and wanting to move along, so this is going to be going outside as soon as I'm done with it, and I'm going to do a little bit of a finishing paint work on it. So let's get back to it. Well, there you have it. So I had a bit of failure with the grouting. Again, I would not use that substance. I would use probably just basic concrete powder. It gives you a lot more of a smooth texture. I am happy with my end result. And the paint job I might kind of play with a little bit more, depending on how much more of like a old mossy look I want to give it. I could also go in with a little bit of gray or black and kind of go through the highlighting a little bit more. The paint that I have is a really nice high quality paint that I got from my buddy. He mixed it up with a medium to make it a bit more of a running texturing paint, which works great on smooth surfaces, but with the grouting, it absorbs any color drastically. It's very dry. So any kind of moisture that it gets, it just kind of goes into the cracks and just soaks it all up, and it doesn't actually kind of run and highlight the edges and such like you would like to, or not highlight, but darken all the little details and such. So my ass got a little bit darker than the rest, but that's all right. Kind of looking around at some reference pictures of some old cemeteries. This is kind of how it looks. It gets dirty and not too bad. A little bit brighter green than I would have liked, but that's all right. It's what I had on hand. Again, this project, besides the moss that I added to it, was basically a free project. So my personal cost is roughly around $12-13 after tax for the preserved fresh moss look. But other than that, everything else turned out really good. I'm excited with it, and let me give it a little turn around here. So my back fell apart sadly, as you saw in the video. I tried desperately to glue it back on, but everything was just crumbling and not looking good. So I decided to just kind of moss the back of it, and that ended up giving the total overall aesthetic of it. It is pretty heavy, so I'm not too worried about tipping. Since the structure goes through the center of it, I'm not too concerned with it falling over. The base that I have it mounted on has a pretty good amount of substantialness on the outsides of it. I would also advise probably not doing the cardboard method, just for the concaving from the weight of the concrete powder, or in my case, the grouting. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed kind of an idea out of the box, something to get some good decoration for the good old Halloween season out and about. I'll show some footage of it in a little bit of my yard, kind of where it's at right now. It is not complete by any means, but this is one of the crucial little landmarks or main tombstone looks that I wanted to have. So I'll probably continue to make a few more and add to the outdoor aesthetics for the good old holiday. But yeah, thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully it wasn't too cringy going through some of my failures, but I'm happy to have an end result that I am actually kind of proud of. It turned out pretty good, and it's something that I can play around with later if I deem so necessary. So thank you all again. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to continue to see content from my channel, make sure and subscribe and hit the notification bells if you want notifications each and every time that I upload. Thank you all so very much, and have a good day.